Jonathan Zaslow from the Zaslow Show 2.0, as well as ESPN Radio's tour that has been going on for college football. Zaz, how are you doing on this Halloween Thursday? And also, where's your dang outfit at? What are you doing?
First of all, I'm an adult, so I don't dress up for Halloween anymore. That's number one. But Theo, I love Stranger Things. Why did you choose Lucas as your costume today?
Okay, Zaz, I'm not sure. A process of elimination. There's one black guy in the show. And
Very good.
I happen to be able to fit. Plus, you know what? The Hawkins 8 jersey right here, this might get multiple uses.
Look at that.
Come on.
Okay.
I don't know if C-Cat, who's dressed as Argyle, I'm not sure if he'll ever be able to bring that back out again outside of costume for Halloween.
Which one was? Oh, yes, of course. The stoner. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Yeah. So excellent job.
I'm glad at the very least you are a Stranger Things fan, so you get it. Tina, who's going to be pulling up for the happy hour after you. You want to guess what she is?
I mean, there could be a million different things.
Think about what's the defining character in Stranger Things?
Okay, so it's Stranger Things based. Okay,
yes,
very good.
Sorry.
All right, what is she in Stranger Things?
Defining character in Stranger Things.
Well, she can't be 11. Did she shave
11.
her head?
She shaved her head.
Full committal to the bit.
Yeah, she commit now. It's a bald wig.
Okay.
She's
very good. Is she walking around the studio just eating Lego waffles?
She is. She's eating the waffles, and her nose is bleeding. So that's going to be interesting to see in the happy hour there for people that are going to be sticking around. Where are you at this weekend for the college football tour?
First of all, isn't this nice? I mean, I sound great. I'm connected. I'm on the video here. I could see you. This is wonderful.
This feels great. It feels. This is like now we got to do this every time. Like this is an amazing production we're putting together here. Zaz, he's actually our first live guest with video, so this is a test run too.
Yeah. Look at us. Yeah. Look at you. Look at us. This weekend, tomorrow morning, I'm flying to Ann Arbor. We're doing college football tailgate this Saturday morning outside the Big House. It's actually the only venue that we are doing twice. We were originally going to be in Seattle this weekend for Washington and USC. Thank God we called an audible. Forget just that game isn't very good anymore, but my goodness. I mean, you know how long a flight it is from here to Seattle? I mean, it takes me a week to recover from that flight. So we switched it to we're back in Ann Arbor this weekend for number 1 Oregon and Michigan. So I'm excited to get back to Ann Arbor.
So, Zaz, is that y'all's first audible? Because that is one thing that y'all do different from College Game Day, which they pick week to week where they're going to go. Y'all have a predestined schedule.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if y'all had options to flex. Like, who made that call and why?
Yeah, our schedule was set at the beginning of the year. And this week coming up, we had a meeting like 3 weeks ago where we audibled this weekend and also last weekend.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, last weekend I was in Nashville, which, I mean, might be my new home.
Right.
Nashville, unbelievable. And it was a great game, too, Vanderbilt in Texas. So we weren't originally scheduled to be in Nashville. We were going to be in Boulder last weekend for Cincinnati and Colorado. Yeah. And the timing just didn't work. We were going to do a show in the morning. The game was a night game. You're not getting the tailgate atmosphere.
Right.
You know? So we switched these 2 weeks, and that's the only 2 weeks that we felt compelled to switch. Everything else on the schedule has worked out great.
That's magical. Well, you're going to the game that's going to feature the number 1 team in the land right now, but it doesn't matter. We're throwing those rankings out come Tuesday because Tuesday's maybe the most monumental day on the 2024 calendar. It's the election, but it's also the first college football playoff rankings that are going to drop that night. It's going to be a good reprieve from all of the election coverage. Which one are you going to be watching? Are you going to double screen that election coverage and
the
poll?
In the Zaslow Mansion family room, I got the 2 TV setup. So we'll have – I think what's going to wind up happening is we're going to have election coverage on the small TV all night long.
Yeah.
So you can just take a peek at it. It could be in the background. All right, what's the score?
All you need is a little graph. You just need to see the guy projecting, doing all the little finger pointing and stuff.
Who's winning? Give me the score. I'll keep track of that, And on the big TV, we will have all the college football playoff stuff. Quite a day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's some serious counter-programming that ESPN is doing there on Tuesday night.
Yeah, I was about to say, but that's how strong college football is. There's very few sports that can compete with Election Day.
That can compete with the future of our country.
No. But honestly, think about it, though. There's so many more people that are going to be worried about college football's first playoff ranking, which, again, it's not like it's the final one, which actually matters, but there's going to be more people that are going to be entertained and locked in on that than it would be for many other sports out here.
Well, and here's also the thing, Theo. We're not finding out the results of that election on Tuesday night.
Nah, it's going to take a while.
It's going to take days.
It's going to take a while. It's going to take a while. We're not going to get into that any further than we need to. I will say, Zaslow, for you, What do you think is the most important game this weekend that will play into what we see happen on Tuesday night for the college football ranking? Is it Michigan and Oregon, or are they going to have it sealed up?
Okay, Michigan and Oregon is tied to it because I think Penn State, Ohio State's the biggest game.
Okay.
So Penn State, Ohio State is at noon. So the Oregon fan is going to have in their back pocket the knowledge of knowing what happened there. And the reason that I bring that up is because right now, you look at the Big Ten, all right, Oregon is ranked number 1 in the nation, but there are 3 undefeated teams in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
You got Indiana, you got Oregon, you got Penn State. There is a very real scenario where because we don't have divisions anymore in the conferences, there's a very real scenario where if you have these teams, like if you have 3 undefeated teams in the Big Ten, there's a tiebreak where, Theo, the number 1 team in the country could get left out of the Big Ten championship game, which would mean they would then have an at-large bid and they'd be the number 5 seed playing in the first round of the college football playoff. So the reason that I say Ohio State and Penn State is the biggest game, the Oregon fan is going to be rooting for Ohio State at Big Noon this Saturday. So if Ohio State can beat Penn State, okay, now it's just Oregon and Indiana, the only 2 undefeateds. And by the way, Indiana plays Ohio State in a few weeks. So I think the biggest game, and there's cause and effect that goes on all over because of it, I think Penn State, Ohio State's biggest game this weekend.
You're right about that. That's also one of those games that it's hard to get a real read on because Penn State, their offense looks so much different than what you've expected in the past. That defense, we've seen how elite they can be. And then also with Ohio, like what Buckeyes are we going to see on Saturday? Like there's such a mixed bag.
Yeah, and let's not forget, they already lost their first huge test. There's a lot of pressure on Ryan Day.
Yeah.
They lost their first huge test, which was to Oregon a couple weeks ago.
They
snuck past Nebraska last week. And then, if you get tagged with a second loss here, and I believe Ohio State wins this game, but if you get tagged with a second loss by Penn State, you still have Indiana. And I understand, I get it, Michigan is down, but it's still Michigan, Ohio State.
Yeah.
All right. So this is a major, major game for Ohio State this weekend.
How about Miami this past weekend? How about those Hurricanes? Florida State came to Hard Rock Stadium with their tails tucked between their legs. You had a guy in Mike Norvell who went in there not to win the football game, but just to protect himself from getting embarrassed. And somehow that, to me, is more embarrassing because Miami, 36-14 was the final.
Yeah.
Miami still covered, but you can tell FSU just wanted that game to end before it even started.
It felt a little bit like death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Yeah.
Like I was hoping the Canes, you're in the middle of the second quarter and the Canes are up 28-0.
Right.
And that was not the case. It was a game at halftime. It was 14 was it 21-14 at halftime or 14-7?
Yeah, it was I think 14-7, and the problem was Florida State wasn't it definitely felt like in Miami, Mario Cristobal talked about it after the fact, they were just trying to limit the possessions in the game and try to limit the amount of times that Cam Ward and that offense could carve them up, which, again, kind of a smart strategy to make it seem like the game is closer than what it could have been. But I know Cristobal was fuming. Shannon Dawson was fuming. They wanted to hang a 50 ball on him. They wanted to do it.
I think the one negative that actually comes out of the game was the game hurts Cam Ward's Heisman chances.
Yeah, it does.
Because obviously you need to win the game, and they won the game by a lot, and they covered, and that's obviously most important. But Cam Ward can't have a game with no touchdowns.
Right.
Even if they won the game, it's all part of the resume.
They were begging the Canes to run that ball.
So
and they did.
That hurts.
Yeah.
It probably put a real wrench in Cam Ward's chance to win the Heisman.
Yep. And them's the breaks, though, because what the ultimate goal for the Canes are, just like everybody else who's going to be sitting around the TV waiting on the results of the first college football playoff poll, is to get into the 12-team playoff and compete for a national championship.